So the history of castle combat begins at 3000 BE, also known as 3,000 years before Elven extinction. The Ancient Five, Jade Twinblade, Shroud, Exio1, and the two twins, Seth and Osiris Starsman, all arrive on Sagaheim and build their pyramids, and join to create the one and only Grail of Sagaheim. This marks the first age of castle combat, the Age of the Starmen. Once the Starmen packed up and left, this marked the beginning of the second age of castle combat, the Age of the Elves. The year was 1500 BE. It was a time of prosperity for the good guys. All 4 good guy castles were built and each was given a magic sword from the elves. Some of you may be familiar with these swords: Emerald, the bane of all dragons for the green castle, Blue Boat for the blue castle, Red Razor for the talented knights of the red castle, and Indigo, the healing blade of the purple castle. It seemed like peace and prosperity would never end, but lurking in the shadows, Pharaoh Frostbite was about to change the course of Sagaheim forever. Pharaoh Frostbite, once known as Cartouche the Conjurer, uncovered the blue pyramid of power left by Osiris. He claimed it for himself and spent centuries uncovering its secrets. Deep within the catacombs, he discovered a secret lever, and out of curiosity, he pulled it, thinking it would open a new passageway. Instead, a loud explosion could be heard from miles away. It was Atlantis. The once great city was now sinking. Osiris Starsman purposely hid that lever so he could sabotage the elves. The elves were now lost, and this marks the beginning of a new age, the Age of the Pharaoh. The third age of castle combat, the Age of the Pharaoh, lasted a long 1300 years. With the Grail in Pharaoh Frostbite's possession, he became the strongest warrior in all of Sagaheim. And this led to some important events like the formation of the Sagaheim Wizard Council, the creation of the Bog Wall, the death of Odin King's first son, Hurl the Hammer, the Century Siege, the Bad Sir Drake Saga, and finally, the rise of Nightshade. So in addition to all the chaos, the once prosperous Green Good Guy Castle fell within a single night because of a shocking betrayal by Howard the Green. Howard the Green, now known as Nightshade, was once the best wizard in the Green Good Guy army. With the greed for power, he poisoned his former king, King Rigel VI, and after Rigel's death, Nightshade conjured hundreds of skeletons and skeleton knights and destroyed the castle from within. His forces easily overran the small garrison of Green Knights and forced what was left of the Green Good Guys into the Mosswood. To the southeast, the Red Good Guys had problems of their own. Sir Drake, the best swordsman in Sagaheim, was doing battle against the Black Knight, Sir Malice, who wielded the ancient sword Curse. This sword can turn the purest of hearts evil if wounded by it. Unfortunately, Sir Drake sustained a wound during their duel, and Otho the Owl, a quote from him, is that Sir Drake's eyes turned blood red, and so the Bad Sir Drake saga began. After being cursed, Bad Sir Drake allied with Morgana, and over the brutal 9 months of the Bad Sir Drake saga, Bad Sir Drake and Morgana pillaged dozens of villages and set their sights on the Red Castle. They launched a massive attack on the Red Good Castle. King Kemp, the new ruler of the Red Good Guys, was caught off guard. Bad Sir Drake stormed into the castle, defeating many knights, and if it wasn't for the young Sir Crimson, who wielded the Red Razor, the ancient elven blade given to them centuries ago, the Red Castle would have fallen. Bad Sir Drake and Morgana were forced to retreat, but were cut off by Prince Morgan and his army. Despite Bad Sir Drake being the best swordsman in all of Sagaheim, Prince Morgan bested Bad Sir Drake for the first time in his life, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Prince Morgan was able to turn Bad Sir Drake back to the good guys after using the last ounces of the Grail's water. The Bad Sir Drake saga was over. On an undercover mission, Crazy 8, disguised as an undead jester, was able to infiltrate the Blue Pyramid and was scouting the catacombs below. There, he saw 2 elves sleeping in a prison cell. It was Andromeda and Aurora, the princesses of Atlantis. Crazy 8 immediately notified Otho the Owl, and in response to that news, Otho the Owl summoned the strongest warriors in Sagaheim and formed a dream team to raid the Blue Pyramid. The dream team included warriors like Sir Purple the Bold, Presto, Pike Thunders, Silverbolt, Odin King, Sir Crimson, the Green Knight, Queen Anna, Vanquish, the Stealth Bow, and a battalion of Yeti, Paladins, and Red Knights, all under the command of the great Prince Morgan. They took the pyramid swiftly. Pharaoh Frostbite's forces were no match for this dream team and forced him to retreat to a secret chamber underneath the pyramid. General Iceheart's forces were overwhelmed on the northern front, while an army led by Boom Rush and Cancray were being pummeled on the eastern front. the allies broke into the pyramid and found Andromeda and Aurora, and also recovered the Grail of Sagaheim. The age of the pharaoh was coming to an end. Andromeda and Aurora were now free to roam Sagaheim for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. The oldest sister Andromeda was crowned the Queen of the Elves, and the Grail has been returned to the center of Loch Alpha. But deep within the pyramid, a mischievous snowman, Humbug, was looking for a way to annoy his longtime rival, Pharaoh Frostbite. Humbug came across the same lever that sunk Elflantis. He flipped it, and the once great Elflantis began to rise. But at the same time, the Black Pyramid of Power arose as well. The Black Dragon Lord, Onyx III, who could see the pyramid in the distance, flew across Sagaheim to claim it. This marks the beginning of the fourth age of castle combat, the Age of the Shadows. There were quite a few changes to the Age 4 map. Morgana kicked Boglord out of his tower, Colotorchi evicted Thermo from his volcano, Shogun and his followers packed up and left Sagaheim, and Elflantis and Cosmos returned to Sagaheim for the first time in quite a while, and the Green Good Guys relocated to the center of the Mosswood after the Green Knight defeated the Green Dragon Lord Mossmog using the sword Emerald. The Age of Shadows was the shortest age in castle combat, spanning from 1350 AE to 1500 AE. AE means after Elven extinction. So, Onyx III, the most intelligent creature on Sagaheim, Morgana, and Eclipse formed an alliance. This alliance was known as the Shadow Alliance, and it consisted of thousands of shadow elementals and was led by Sagaheim's greatest general, Romulus. Romulus was once a ruler of the Yellow Good Guys and was known as Emperor Romulus. However, he was cursed for eternity after being wounded by Halgor, a werewolf that dwells in the Cursed Bog. He was exiled from the Yellow Good Island and was hired as a mercenary by Morgana. In a few years, they got married and had a son named Morgulus. Morgana and Romulus would be one of the strongest duos in Sagaheim. On Christmas Day, the Shadow Legions led by Romulus and Shroud reached Loch Alpha. The Second Continental Alliance led by King Morgan and King Crimson stood to defend the Grail Tower. After fighting for days, the Continental forces were overwhelmed and had to retreat within the Grail Tower. And just when it seemed like all was lost, there was a loud explosion in the distance. The Green Pyramid had risen. Soon after, the second Starman returned, Jade Twinblade. Her presence turned the tide of the Battle of Loch Alpha. Her cosmic forces proved to be too much for the Shadow Legion and forced them into retreat. The Battle of Loch Alpha marked the end of the Age of Shadows and the beginning of the Age of Jade. Which brings us to now, the Age of Jade. Just like Age 2, Age of the Elves, this is a time of peace and prosperity for the good guys. Not much has happened. Prince Morgan was actually able to recover his sword Indigo and became King Morgan, and Boglord retook his tower, and now, but the best thing that we can do is wait for the Red Pyramid to rise and the final battle can begin.